好，欢迎大家参加今天的人文讲座。那么首先呢，我为大家介绍一下我们今晚的主讲人 Darryl Macer 教授。Macer 教授呢，毕业于牛津大学，曾经获得生物化学博士。那么在获得博士学位之后呢，他也就是学习了其他一些人文社会科学方面的一些这样的就是专业。那么后来呢，就从事了这样一个与生物化学相关的交叉学科，就是生命伦理学。那么在这个领域呢，颇有建树。Macer 教授曾经在日本筑波大学呢，就是工作过多年。那么在生命伦理学这个领域呢，带了很多的研究生包括博士生。那么在前2年，那么 Macer 教授从筑波大学呢受聘到联合国教科文组织社会科学和人类科学，就是生命科学事务这个亚太地区的负责人。那么今天呢，我们欢迎 Macer 教授来到我们学校，给我们做一个有关生命伦理学的这样的一个讲座。这个 Why we need bioethics and ethics of science and technology。那么我想这个题目在我们学校也是非常有意义的，因为我们是这样一个呢有着工科背景的这样的一个学校。那么再一点呢，想问一下大家，今天晚上需不需要翻译 ？We are so confident with the English ability, so we want to listen to you directly. So I think we have very good language ability.
Thank you. Okay, well, good evening to everybody. Since you liked me to speak in English, I won't use Chinese, I'll use English, okay? I can't use Chinese, I'm afraid. The question, maybe we can turn the light a little down, is why we need bioethics and ethics of science and technology. The question that many children ask, many adults, many old people, I think everyone asks is, what future do we want? And as you study in the university, I think this is also a question you need to think about. What do you want? Bioethics includes both medical ethics and environmental ethics and ethics of science and technology. It is balancing ideals of doing good, to do no harm, individual autonomy, and justice to all. So these are ideals or principles of ethics we can see in Chinese philosophy, we can see in philosophy and ethics from around the world. It has a very long heritage seen in biology, medicine, society and religion. These are ethical principles that we can apply to new technology. And I'd like to give some example how we might apply the ethical imperatives of love, the ethical principle of loving good, beneficence, supports the development of science and technology that might cure sick persons or feed hungry people. So the basis of most science and technology is ethics, to try to do good. You are studying probably because you would like to do something good with your life. This is a basis. The respect for the ethical principle of self-love supports the empowerment of people so they can access technology according to their values. Love of self is necessary. Okay? How do we support people to find their values? And how do we support access to technology for everybody? New technology will one day be old. And how do we assess the ethics of technology? Man on the Moon, 1969. And maybe China will be there also soon. Yeah? Information technology, computers, very new. You use the computer, you use the telephone, you use every day. It changes the way we communicate. Instead of talking to people face to face, you talk on the telephone. Yeah? Windmills have been used a long time, but our future for developing wind energy, for helping the energy crisis, we will develop new windmills. Another imperative of love is the principle of loving life, do no harm. It warns us to do technology assessment on all options, both current and new, to provide the best alternative for the local situation now. So new technologies like genetic engineering, maybe they can be better than old technology, maybe not. But we have to assess all technologies, both the old and the new. And the ethical principle of loving others, justice, makes us consider the risks for future generations and for all to share in the fruits of scientific endeavor. Benefit sharing of technology and poverty eradication are essential to make a just society. So we have to also consider the future. What we do today affects our future. The challenges of the new frontiers of science, the burden of disease, the misuse of science and technology, the environmental crisis, these all led the United Nations to take action to establish an ethics program at the global level. And the agency that was chosen is UNESCO. UNESCO is the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization. And every member country, every country in the world is a member, and each member country agrees upon some of the goals and functions of UNESCO. The functions include to be a laboratory of ideas. Now, how many of you study a natural science, like chemistry, biology, physics? How many study natural science? Yes? Natural science? How many study engineering? How many study social science? How many study politics? How many people study themselves? Everyone? No. In the bioethics, we also study ourselves, yeah, and others. We study society. But UNESCO has a function as a laboratory of ideas. Instead of a physical science, natural science, we try to study ideas as philosophers or as artists, as writers. We try and think of ideas. Second function, foresight. Forth means looking before. So what is the future? Can we study the future? Okay. So we try to examine our future and think what we should be working towards. Research linkages to policy. How do we make the research useful for policy so that the government can learn how to make more well-founded policies? How do we get researchers in the university to do something that's useful for policy making? Poverty eradication. Yeah, because of justice, we want to help many people who have no resource and little hope. And ethics of science and technology. How do we develop science and technology that will be ethical? How do we develop an ethical society? So we have a different sector in UNESCO, and you might have heard of education, you might have heard of culture, World Heritage Sites. We also have sciences, both natural and social science. And so many of you will become scientists or scholars. There are international standards for ethics and responsibility. Okay, so ethics is needed as a professional. And some of the ethical expectation or virtues we expect from a scientist or engineer are honesty, truthfulness, respect, openness, accuracy, collaboration, fairness, conscientiousness, loyalty. Okay? These are expectations we have of professionals. I think we also have of students. Okay? That as you become professionals, you will be required to have these ethical traits. Okay? Your teachers also have a code of ethics. There are also traits or virtues for the community. Social responsibility, sustainable development, social welfare, gender equality, peace, human rights, environmental responsibility, socio-economic development, social economic equity, scientific freedom, democratic development. These are all virtues we have seen in the international standards that scientists and engineers and doctors and politicians claim to follow. There are also international standards, documents for bioethics. And the first one is the Universal Declaration on the Human Genome and Human Rights. Do you know what the human genome is? The genome is your DNA. Okay? So, in 1997, UNESCO, all the countries agreed to a declaration to face ethical challenges of the Genome Project. And so for 5 years, International Committee, and I was a member as an academic professor at that time, we discussed from many countries' perspective how to develop a declaration. We had scientists and judges and philosophers, and this was an agreed guidelines. Because in the 1990s, the Human Genome Project was a catalyst, was a stimulus for discussion of ethics. Where were we going? Genetic technology, people were afraid of what we would do. people wanted to share the benefits of the genetic science to every country. And you also may know that China played an important part in the Genome Project, yeah? The Genome Institute in Beijing. And the director was also a member of the International Bioethics Committee. Okay? So we have this declaration. Then we have a document on genetic data, International Declaration on Human Genetic Data, which looks at privacy of genetic information. Privacy. And in 2005, we have the Universal Declaration on Bioethics and Human Rights, which is a general document on common principles of bioethics that are shared between between all countries in the world. What is common? And you can find these in Chinese language on the web. So these are, every country, including China, has agreed to these, follow these declarations. So the field of bioethics from the Universal Declaration has, we think, 15 principles, and some deal with medical ethics, and the ones in red are also dealing with environmental ethics, okay, as well. Justice and equity, respect for cultural diversity, solidarity, social responsibility and health, sharing of benefits, protecting future generations, protection of the environment, the biosphere and biodiversity. So bioethics, and you can see, is accepted both for medical ethics and environmental ethics, and applies, in fact, to science in general. UNESCO does not prescribe universal norms of ethics without regard for different cultures. This Universal Declaration on Bioethics and Human Rights provides a framework for principles and procedures for guidance. But each community needs to discuss how to apply what you can, how you can apply autonomy, justice, equity, social responsibility. Okay. And I want to show you the article on social responsibility because it shows the breadth of bioethics. Bioethics is not just for rich countries, it's not just for medical doctors, okay? It's for constructing a society with every aspect of human and other life. Okay. So taking into account the enjoyment of a higher standard of healthcare is one of the fundamental rights of every human being, without distinction of race, religion, political belief, economic or social condition. Okay, so everyone in the world should enjoy a higher standard of healthcare. Number one, access to quality healthcare and essential medicines. We have to make ways to give essential medicine to everyone, both the people who can pay and the people who cannot pay. Okay? And in China now we have people who are poor who can't get medicine. Okay? We need to make the access, and this is the same in some other countries too. Number two, access to adequate nutrition and water. Food and water are basic human rights. Improvement of living condition and the environment. Elimination of marginalization and exclusion of persons on the basis of any grounds. We can't have people who are marginalized and excluded. And reduction of poverty and illiteracy. So these are common responsibilities that we have in the bioethics and what we try to do in bioethics. We have to make ethics relevant to people's life. Okay? It's not just in the university lecture. It's not just in the doctor's clinic or in the government office. It is in people's backyard. Another example from the Declaration of the Human Genome and Human Rights. It is talks about some issues. Let's talk of privacy of genetic information and tissue storage. You know what DNA is? Yeah. And you know you have a unique DNA sequence. And the DNA can predict some things that may happen to you in the future, including a disease. Okay? We have an environment and our genes, and these work together. And even we could make some prediction about what might happen to you in the future. The questions of privacy. What is individual privacy? Do you want your DNA sequence known to everybody? No? Do you want your family's DNA sequence or diseases known to everybody? Or do you share your information with your mother or father but not with others? These are all questions of how do we define family. What is a community? What is an ethnic group? How do we determine access to information by others? So the majority of biological samples are taken as part of clinical practice and diagnosis. Did you ever give blood in the hospital? Yes? Do you know where the blood is? Yes? Is it destroyed? Is it in the freezer of the hospital for research? Where do you think it is? Do you know where it is? No. Okay, so in some countries they used to keep the blood for experiments. But we should, according to this declaration, only keep blood if we have the informed consent for using for research. And if we don't, we should use the blood for the biochemistry test or the chemical test for the patient and then destroy it. But anyway, you'll find in genetics laboratories lots of samples of DNA, of blood. How do we protect the privacy? These are questions. So there are international guidelines. And it says genetic data associated with an identifiable person and stored for processes, stored or processed for purposes of research or any other purpose must be held confidential in the conditions set by law. You have to keep data confidential. So we put it on computers. Are computers safe? Does anybody here hack computers? Okay, everyone? No, I don't think everyone can do. I can't do. But some people can do, yeah. So if we keep on a computer, it's also dangerous, yeah? So how do we protect the information? This is another issue. We need systems. So the researcher may be doing the research and the samples may be kept and then used for later research. But research may help us. So if we stop research, we can't develop medicine. So we have to find a balance, yeah, between protection of privacy and storage of samples, for example. So we allow some limitations, but only, it says, in order to protect human rights and fundamental freedoms, limitations to the principles of consent and confidentiality may only be prescribed by law for compelling reasons within the bounds of public international law and the international law of human rights. So if we have some limitation to consent or confidentiality, it needs to be in the law. Otherwise, scientists have no exception. They have to follow confidentiality. Now, what is bioethics? I want to explain a little bit more. I think bioethics is love of life, but I want to explain 3 different views of bioethics, because you might ask, what do bioethics researchers do? Okay? And there are several bioethics researchers in your university, yeah? So, descriptive bioethics is the way people view life, their moral interactions and responsibilities with living organisms in their life. I have my bioethic, and you have your bioethic. We all have our own bioethic. Okay? So we can describe this. And I can describe for different people, different individuals, different communities. I can describe for different nationalities, like Chinese. I can describe for lawyers or engineers or other groups. I can describe for young people. I can describe for old people. Okay, so that's one way to study bioethics. Prescriptive bioethics is to tell others what is ethically good or bad, or what principles are most important in making such decisions. It may also be to say that something or someone has rights and others have duties to them. This means sometimes in your school you were told what is good and what is bad. And of course you're always good, yeah? Yes? So, but who can tell you what is good? Can anybody tell you what's good? Okay. Who do you respect? So, I don't know. But sometimes we do need to know what's good as a society. Yeah, we have to say, for example, not to kill people. Yeah, that's a good rule. Okay, not to be corrupt. Not to do bad things. Yeah, and to try to do nice things to people is a good thing. Yeah, so we have some general principles which are principles of ethics. So making policy is also a job that bioethicists do, because we have many social dilemma. Yeah, and if we let everybody do whatever they like, it's chaos. Yeah. So, you know, we have to organize society. So that's a prescriptive bioethics. Interactive ethics is discussion and debate between people, groups within society and communities, and such dialogue skills are necessary to live harmoniously with others. In ethics, we try to get different groups of people talking to each other. Okay? So, from different groups, doctors, lawyers, philosophers, artists, cleaners, everybody, talk together, discuss bioethics. We have to learn to talk about value questions. So we have some models of this in Asia and the Pacific. We have community meetings. Okay? Okay? And these are one way we can discuss bioethics dilemma. We also work for trying to become better educators. How to transform our system to participatory styles of education. Okay, so how do we teach people to think about ethics? How do we form a mature society full of well-informed and balanced persons? Bioethically mature means a person or a society that can balance the benefits and risks of alternative options, make well-considered decisions, and talk about these. So we have to have a society that can discuss any philosophical issue, any bioethics issue, okay, openly and discuss. Sometimes these are very difficult questions, so people get very emotional and they say, no, don't do that, or you can't discuss that. But bioethics has to discuss a very difficult issue. And we have to then make a good decision. But we need to discuss everything. So in the bioethics we have a freedom of dialogue. We discuss anything. Why is it important? Because the transition from paternalism to consent to choice. Okay? When we go to the doctor, we used to have a paternalistic model where the doctor was well above the patient. But we now use a consent model, and we hope some people, in some countries, a choice model. And the same for going to a supermarket to buy food. Many years ago, the shops didn't have anything, only 1 or 2 products. Certainly in China this was the case. Okay? But now you can choose what you want. You have advertisements and you can choose. Informed choice. Informed. Well, not always informed. Sometimes we're misled by commercials and by what everybody else is buying, and but we don't need to follow. But this is a choice. So we have a transition, and even though some society is going in a different speed, every society in the information age is moving to a choice. Okay? And therefore we need to educate bioethics to people to think. Now there are some goals of bioethics education. So this explains more to you what bioethics is. Knowledge. Developing transdisciplinary content knowledge. So knowledge from different disciplines. That's why maybe in the spirit of this humanistic lecture you have a different discipline to what you study. Understanding the advanced biological concepts. Being able to integrate the use of scientific knowledge, facts, and ethical principles, and argumentation and discussing cases involving moral dilemmas. How do we use science and ethics and facts and values in our brain to make a good decision? Okay? Because sometimes if we feel very strongly, we only think with our heart and not with our head. So how do we mix our heart and our head together? Okay, and that's what we do in bioethics. We try to mix both. Okay, we can't just rely on our head, our facts. We have to also rely on our ethical principles and our conscience. Understanding the breadth of questions that are posed by advanced science and technology. The questions are very broad. What we will do has many consequences for society and for people and the environment. Understanding cultural diversity and values. There is great diversity of values. Okay? Let me ask you a question. Should we do experiments on animals? Should we do? Who says yes? Yes? Who says no? A few people say no. Okay. If we have a really good teacher, should we clone our teacher to make copies of the teacher? Who says yes? Who says no? Okay, we have one student here who's going to clone teachers. That's good. You might get cloned. You're a good teacher. So, that's good. Okay, so, we have moral diversity. Okay. And if I ask you to think of the reasons why you tell me this, you will have different ideas. And we also have different values and culture. We have to understand and listen to others. A second goal of bioethics is skills. Capacity building and skill acquisition needs to be many-sided, and the goals include balancing the benefits and risks of science and technology, being able to undertake a risk-benefit analysis, developing critical thinking and decision-making skills and reflective processes, developing creative thinking skills, developing foresight ability to evade possible risks of science and technology, developing skills for informed choice, and developing required skills to detect bias in scientific method, interpretation, and presentation of research results. And bias is very important. Do you have any biases? Do you know what bias is? Bias is to lean to one side. Okay? So we all have a bias, different bias. Yeah? And when we read a newspaper, television, science journal, listen to the lecture, we need to know everyone has a bias. The writers, the teachers, the listeners, everyone. On both sides there are bias, and we need to understand our bias and try to become less biased. Okay? And at least to understand what bias each person is coming from, and ourselves. Okay? Because we have a bias as well. So this is part of a skill that we teach in bioethics. Personal moral development. Understanding better the diversity of views of different persons. Increasing respect for all forms of life. Eliciting a sense of moral obligation and values such as honesty and responsibility. Being able to take different viewpoints to issues including both biocentric and ecocentric worldviews rather than only an anthropocentric perspective. Do you know what anthropocentric means? Can somebody explain to us? What does anthropocentric mean? Anthro means what? Human. Human-centered. So, usually we have a human-centered view. We might be individual, we might be society, but usually only human society and human individual. That's one view. But bioethics also teaches a biocentric view of a living organism. For example, a dog, a tree. What is their view? Okay. And ecocentric, a view of an ecosystem, like a forest, a wetland, a coral reef, a park outside in a university. These are all ecosystems. Okay? So we try to think of different viewpoints of problems. Asia-Pacific culture is more biocentric than modern Western society. But I'm afraid, I think, maybe in modern Chinese society is pretty anthropocentric. Yeah? Okay. We have a serious environment crisis. Yeah? And in modern times, there's a transition away from biocentric or ecocentric thinking. We need to develop cultural-specific approaches and materials and share these. And we need to think in different ways. A second set of goals of bioethics for personal moral development include increasing respect for different people and culture and their values. Developing scientific attitudes, reflective processes, and an ability for holistic appraisal, while not ignoring the value for reductionist analysis. Okay, reductionism is to reduce a problem to its simple aspect. It's important as a scientist. But at the same time, we need a holistic perspective of all the issues. Okay, so we need both. Knowledge about bias is the same as before, for skills. Exploring morals and values, values clarification. What are your values? Why do you believe what you believe? Okay. So bioethics tries to help you think, what do you believe and why do you believe that? Promoting values analysis and value-based utilization of our scarce natural resources. Okay, so these are all goals, I could say, personal moral development. We need to assess the bioethics content that already exists. Already you learned about bioethics, but you didn't call it bioethics. Well, some of you maybe did the bioethics lecture. So protecting the dignity of people is a universally agreed goal of the United Nations. Ethics education starts in the young and can empower children and adults at any age. Okay, so old people, young people, any age you can learn bioethics. I work a lot on developing bioethics education, and if you go on the internet, you can find these materials. And so you can read more about bioethics. We have cross-cultural materials. We have a resource book with materials from many authors, a network of teachers, and we try to work with universities like yours and others around the world to develop bioethics. Develop a joint action plan on bioethics education. We now also work with youth leaders and university students in different countries to develop bioethics. In 2003, more than 4 years ago, I started, these are students in Beijing, in a high school, studying bioethics. So for 4 or 5 years, we've been trying to develop materials in China for bioethics and in a dozen countries. I started this work many years ago. And we have bioethics clubs in some countries, and different ways students do bioethics. So bioethics includes environmental ethics, genetics, medical ethics, reproduction, neuroscience, what's called neuroethics, okay? Social ethics. So there are many areas of bioethics. And I'm not going to go through all these issues, but there are many bioethics issues. We train teachers, and we hope that we can learn how to teach bioethics. We have different methods to teach bioethics and discuss. I'm going to just go through because I'd like to have more time for questions and even maybe to try one or two of these methods with you if you're interested. And you can find information here. Okay, so in bioethics, we think it's necessary because it increases your knowledge, increases your skills as a citizen, and can help you clarify your values. Okay? And there are many examples of bioethics dilemma, which we have. So I think I would like to ask if you have any questions, and we can discuss issues you would like to discuss.
好，下面大家针对前面讲过的这些内容有没有什么问题？可以用中文提问，中文提问我们可以翻译过去，还有英文，大家可以随意。随便什么样的问题啊，不一定会局限于咱们今天这个讲座，包括对 UNESCO 啊，对这些联合国的组织啊，这些什么问题啊等等都可以问。好，这个。
Okay.
I have a question. And some people in China think that people is born bad, and some people think is people is born good. Can you give use some words to positive and something negative.
Okay. Do you believe you were born good or born bad?
I think it is education.
You think it's education?
It is education, some theories. Maybe they are born good, but they can grow bad, and maybe some people is born bad, but they can grow good.
Okay, thank you. I will. You can have a seat. Thank you. It's a good question. So, are we born bad or are we born good? That's a very important question. It's a very important question as a basis of Marxist ethics and education. It's a very important question for education policy. It's a question for social issues, and it's a very important question for the punishment in the criminal system of people. Because if people are born bad, we can't blame them for being bad. Okay? So if I was born bad, if I do something bad, I can blame my genes and say they did it. But I can also, if I do something bad, I can say I had a bad childhood. My parents abused me, or I had no money, or I listened to a very bad religious group, or I listened to a very bad political leader, and they made me do something very bad. So we can always try to blame others for our what we do, which is bad. I think it's always a complex mixture. Our mind is a social and genetic construct. Okay? So genes affect us, our social and environment affects us, and we're constructed, our personality. Okay, so we're a social construct, we're a genetic construct. There's some truth in being in genetic origin of behavior and in environment origin. Okay? And we need to do, I think, more research to understand just how much each affect. But I think many things determine if we are bad or judged to be bad. Okay? And even to be called bad, in some society what is bad is good in another society. Okay? For example, if I'm very good at killing people, I can join the army and get a medal. Okay? And then I'm very good, I'm a hero. Okay? And I'm very good. Any society, I'm very good if I'm a good soldier. But if I'm good at killing people and I don't do it in the army, I'm bad in any society. Unless it's a revolution. And if it's a revolution, I then become good for a while, unless I'm killing the people, and to the people I'm killing, I'm bad. So construction of what is bad and what is good is also socially constructed. Okay, so as a philosopher, we first have to decide what is good and what is bad. Okay? Because, and then secondly, I think we have both genetic and environmental influence to affect our behavior. And one day we will understand this better and be able to design an educational system and social system suited to different types of people. Okay? Because I think different people need different things. And in one system, some people do very well, and other people don't do very well. And if those people go to the other system, you can change the role, change the result.
Yeah, so I think it's better for us to
Maybe
summarize.
you summarize.
简单总结，因为这个问题也很关键啊。就是其实Macer教授的答案呢，最主要就是两方面。一个呢，就是说我们很多的特定的我们的行为，包括我们的头脑，这些呢，它都是基因的建构，加上呢我们社会啊、经济等等这些因素的建构，都不是说完全的生下来你的基因就是 bad 就是 good 就是这样的，它是一个 你包括你做出的一个社会行为。那么再一个就是说，什么是 good， 什么是 bad 呢？这个东西呢，不一定有一个统一的这样的一个标准。比如说他举的例子，那么你可能善于杀人，那么这时候你在军队里呢，这就是一个好的，要把你作为英雄表彰。但是在一个正常的社会当中呢，就是一个非常 bad 的这样的一个行为。所以就说作为伦理学家、哲学家，那么很多要做的工作就是我们怎么来 define 来界定什么是好的，什么是坏的，什么是善的，什么是恶的。包括就是说在一些不同的这些社会当中，那么今后的话，可能我们的教育的体制，我们的社会的体制，可能更多就是说随着这样一些对我们的影响我们行为的遗传的因素、基因的因素和社会的因素这些更多的了解，那么怎么去设计去适合不同的类型的人们的这样的一些体制，可能这样呢是更加适合我们今后人类社会的发展的。好，大家这个同学问的问题非常好啊，大家呢胆子大一点，因为他今天下午还在跟我谈到说他在日本待了，就是 Japanese student 还有我们 Chinese student 都 tend to be a little bit shy, quiet， 大家呢勇敢一点，没有关系。好，这个女同学。稍微大一点。Use 安乐死是吧 ？Yes, ask something about euthanasia.
Yes, there's some pain. In fact, painless death can be done in two ways. Okay, we can give medicine to stop pain to dying patients, and it's called palliative care, and that is good. But should we, and I think for most ways of dying, you can give enough painkiller and social support. So two things, both the physical pain and the social support and emotional support. So it's not so painful to die. And also spiritual care, yeah? And that just lets you die naturally, but with no pain. The other case of painless death is to kill people earlier with an injection, for example, to stop them die, in pain, and you kill them, they die earlier. And that's called active euthanasia, and I don't believe that's usually good, but I think in some rare occasion, if the people really want it, some doctors want to give, and in the Netherlands and Holland, about 2% of people die by active euthanasia, by a drug injection. But they have a very good support system and a safety system to make sure these people really want it themselves. So those are two ways of dying painlessly, and the challenge is in a resource-poor situation, if we don't have a way to make the painless death, we don't have money for the drugs or acupuncture technology to make it painless or others, then that is a challenge. It's a moral challenge.
那么就是这个安乐死的问题呢，那个教授就是说他现在分为两种安乐死，一种是被动的安乐死，一种是主动的安乐死。被动的安乐死就指的是什么呢？给一些临终的病人呢，给他一些药物，止痛的药物，包括一些社会的支持的关怀。当然，止痛的手段里，有的时候还包括一些什么针灸啊、acupuncture 这些等等。然后呢，这种呢一般就称为什么？称为临终关怀，然后让他能够尽量的无痛的在这样一个状态当中呢死去。那么还有一种呢是主动的 active euthanasia， 主动安乐死，就是要由医生呢给他注射一种药物。那么注射这种药物之后呢，那么这个一个临终状态的病人呢，他实际上是由于这个注射药物，那么会比较早的就是死去。那么Macer 教授认为，对于第一种来说的话呢，没有太多的伦理的争议，因为更多是一种临终的这个关怀，没有太多伦理争议。那么对于主动安乐死来说的话呢，就有一些这个争议。而且呢，尤其是在一些贫穷的人， 比如说一些人他贫穷，他没有办法去能够获得那种临终关怀，因为这个是需要钱呐，或者没有这样一些社会支持系统。那么这种能不能给他们来实施这样的一个主动安乐死，就会带来很多这些伦理争议。那么大家可能知道，在荷兰，那么可能是大概有，他没说每年还是就是2%的死亡的人呢是主动安乐死的方式死去的。但大家要注意，在荷兰呢，它的社会的福利支持系统是非常好的。在荷兰，它人口很少，社会福利非常发达，那么基本上很多家庭呢都有自己的家庭医生。就是说，在那种情况之下，你会比较容易判断出这个病人是不是真正的自己他想要，就他一个自主的选择，他要去选择这样一种方式主动安乐死。所以就是说，在这种情况下，因为贫穷的人你就很难判断他是不是真正的一个自主的自愿的这样一个决定，就会带来伦理的争议。好，非常好啊。好，那个同学能不能到前面来一点，就走过来，声音稍微大一点，因为没有那个麦克风。
What do you think about the Chinese contribution in this field?
Thank you.
We are not answering your question with China centered.
I define bioethics as love of life. Confucius said to love a thing means wanting it to live. So Chinese philosophers have been very influential in, I think, in the field of philosophy across the world. So you have a very long heritage of ancient philosophy, but a lot of this is not yet well explored for bioethics. So we are trying to develop ways to explore more older traditions of philosophy which are very rich in China and apply those to modern technology questions. And in the recent times, there is an active movement of Chinese bioethicists, like your professor here. But I think we're still in early stages, because we have to try to challenge and question the rapid development of science and technology, because your country, like many countries, chose to import Western science and technology. It did not always import the ethical consideration or the critical consideration of the science and technology. So we need to have the technology assessment, and I think that is one way. We have to have this methodology and then to look at Chinese sources. So there's a lot to do in China to explore Chinese thinking and apply it to modern questions. Because I think old Chinese philosophers shaped your society, but modern philosophers have not been so active or so supported. And so this is why I think we need to develop a lot in China still. But you have a lot to contribute to the whole world. Okay?
那么 Macer 教授刚才就回答，就说如果说到中国对这个领域像伦理学、生命伦理学的贡献，那么就说我们中国的儒家，我们的儒家哲学呢，就是在伦理思想方面的资源是非常丰富的。那么他刚才在他的讲座里，他强调的就是作为生命伦理学的一些基本的原则。那么作为教授本人呢，他是非常强调这个 love of life， 就是呢去爱生命，因为作为生命伦理学。那么其实呢，这种思想呢，在我们儒家思想当中是非常丰富的，这样一种爱生啊、牺牲的这样的一个美德。所以呢，他认为这是我们呢可以做出贡献的一个方面。但是呢，同时我们要看到，就是呢，在现代的我们中国社会当中呢，应对着科学技术的一个飞速的一个发展， 那么如何把这样一些科学技术发展带来的伦理问题，能够通过这样一些社会的规范，比如说一些公共的政策呀，一些这种管理的原则等等来规范呢？在这方面我们还是做的比较的初步的。就是比起西方的一些国家来说，因为这样一些生命科学，尤其这些发展的话，直接要作用到我们人身上，直接要用人来做实验等等，它需要很多这些方面的一些规范。所以说呢，他也相信就是那么他认为我们中国社会啊，还是比较多的受到过去的这种哲学的影响。那么这种现代哲学啊，包括西方等等这些，他觉得对我们的影响还不是很大。所以就是说，那么在今后的话呢，更主要的是怎么把我们这些传统的资源能够利用，然后去应对飞速的科技发展当中这些伦理问题，我们去制定这样的一些规范，那么应该是会有我们的这样一个更独特的一个贡献的。好，这个同学。
What do you think of the differences between morality and laws? And in some way have conflicts, so how to balance them?
这个同学问就是说法律和道德之间有什么样的差异
？Sometimes the law is not moral, and this is true in every country. Ethics usually demands us to go further than the law. So, for example, the law says do not kill, but the law does not say you must help somebody. But ethics says you need to help somebody if you can. But sometimes, so it works both positive and negative ways. Okay, we have to go more than the law. Sometimes the law says, for example, you have to follow the patent system to protect intellectual property and to respect the intellectual rights of companies making medicines. But morality may say we have to give the free medicine to people who need the medicine and cannot afford it. So if we have to, we might have to break the law. But I should also mention that the law is then changed sometimes because of ethics. And we can see usually to give free medicines to is actually with the law, okay, because the law has been changed to make it more moral. Okay, so the laws are evolving, they are changing over time, they're developing, and morality is always asking questions of the law, and then the law will change. Okay, so we must make the law change to become more moral, and sometimes we also have a law which is better than what happens in practice. So on the paper, the law is very good, but in practice, nobody cares, or nobody does it. So sometimes the law is better than practice, so we have to improve morality. So bioethics education is trying to improve ethics, attitude. Sometimes, yeah, if we have better ethics education, we can follow the law that we could not follow before. So in history, we find usually cycles of a very legalistic model and then a not so legalistic model of a governing society. So usually society goes from one model of being loose about law and very tight about law, then a loose and tight and so on. And I use the word usually love versus law. Love with situation-based ethics, law is following the letter of the law. Okay, so we have this balance always in governments and also in the way social systems are constructed. They struggle, but we need to have a moral law And when the law is not moral, we have to challenge the law.
所以呢，就是他回答就是说呢，道德和法律呢还是有一个它的一个这样的一个很明显的一个差别的。那么一般来说，道德的要求呢是要高于一个法律的要求的。法律的要求呢是对一个社会成员来说是一个比较低的基本的一个要求。比如说法律要求你不要杀人，但是作为像道德来说的话，更多要求当你有能力的时候呢，你要去帮助别人。所以说呢，很多的时候我们还要看到法律是在不断的什么呢？修正，在改变的，随着这个社会的发展。所以说就是道德伦理在不断的对这个法律提出问题。那么随着这样一个提出的问题呢，那么让这些法律呢开始变得越来越符合这个伦理，而且还要看到就是法律的体制它的变化呢，可能在不同的历史时期呢，可能这段时期的话呢，它的法是比较更加的，就是说法律的规范是比较松的。那么另一段时间呢，法律的规范是比较严的。那么作为法律来说，它只是去什么呢？去遵循的法条上的这些的字。但是对于伦理学来说呢，强调爱啊等等这些是更加强调一种，就是说那是一个在纸面上的等等这样的条文。那么更多的强调一种情境化的一种考虑，在一个具体的情境化之下，那么这种爱到底意味着什么，而不仅仅的就是一个比较低的就是那样的一个要求。
Yes.
哦，好，那这个同学，然后这个同学，然后这个同学，好吧。
Developing countries and developing countries are different. So how come with your biology is developed in a developing country or in a developing country? I think it's different. There are different levels. Maybe you can say man is born equal, but people in developing countries have very other things to do to build their countries. Their competition is becoming fiercer and fiercer. So can you tell us something about this and how can we find a balance between the economic development and the biologic education?
好，你跟中文给大家说一下你的问题，好吧？
我们知道发展中国家发达国家是不同的。那么对于发达国家来说，它的那种它这个生命伦理学的发展程度是不是怎样来判断它是一个发达或者是不发达？我们怎么来自其中找到一个平衡，在经济建设与这个伦理学教育中找到一个平衡。
It depends how we measure development. I could measure development by the number of hungry people in the city each night who don't have food or a home. And you may find that the number is quite high in some countries that you think developed. I could measure development by the morality of the government's actions. And then I could measure development by the difference between the rich and the poor in the access to basic human rights like health, food and water and a house and so on. So there are different bioethics needs of different community, and we need to develop bioethics in different priorities. But usually social justice is an issue for rich and poor country. We have gaps in both. Economic development in the short term will not be economic development in the long term. So if I want to use economic arguments, I would simply say have a long-term perspective of economic development and not to destroy the environment, your society or people, and then we would have an ethical development. But unfortunately, short-term economic development is usually destructive to people and the environment in the long term. So this is I don't think there's a conflict if we have a long-term ecological, economic ethic. But sadly, we have a short-term economic vision of a few people making lots of money in most countries, including in yours. And this is not the way we need to have a long-term vision, and a long-term for our grandchildren. We need to think for your grandchildren, what are they going to have at the end of it? Because a lot of the world has been destroyed. So I think there's a great need to have a long-term vision in both the rich and the poor, and especially in a huge country like China, who has to have a long-term vision. Otherwise, you hope to be a world leader. If you have a very short-term vision, you will destroy the environment and society. So in the end, you cannot. It's very simple. You can see and learn from the lessons of other countries. So having an economic vision of benefiting all society and keeping your environment, which is the basis of the future economic survival, is necessary. And that's the same advice I'd give to rich or poor countries. And I think so China is in the middle. We have some really poor countries in Africa. Again, they're destroying their environment by some short-term policy. How can China, how can other countries help? And we are trying to help. China is trying to help. So China is in the middle. It's playing both roles. Okay. So that's some answers on your reflection.
那么也是呢，就是说，刚才同学问到发展的问题，怎么来界定发展这个概念？比如说，对于发展，在有的国家来说呢，它的饥饿的人口减低了很多，这对他来说呢，就是一个发展。那么还有一些就是政府的这样的一些行为，那么它呢更加的去考虑到我们一个社会当中穷人和富人之间的这样一个平衡等等，那么这也是一种发展。所以就是说呢，我们更多的是要强调的一个呢长期的、长远的视野的这样一种经济的发展，而不是现在呢在很多的国家呢都是这样一个 short term 一个短期的这样的一种视野的这样一种发展。比如说举例像在我们中国，那么可能就是说这样一种发展呢是让一少部分的人从这个发展中获利更多的这样的一种发展，而不是绝大多数的人能够获利。所以说呢，最后就是说强调一个呢，我们在不管是富的国家还是穷的国家，那么这个 social justice 都是一个非常重要的观念，就是社会的公正。那么就是富人、穷人之间等等这样一个什么呢？大家都要从社会的发展当中呢去能够获益。所以说呢，他最后强调的一个就是说，最后我们的一个中国，那么现在呢，应该说不是过去的一个我们说一个不发达的国家，或者说发展中的国家，应该说是介于在发展中国家和这种不发达发展中之间的一个中间的一个位置了。所以说中国呢，我们现在也呢去有帮助像非洲啊等等这样的一些国家，也扮演着起到一定的这个作用。但是呢，它给出我们说不管经济发展水平如何的这样的一些国家给出的建议，那么都是呢，你经济发展的眼光是要是什么呢？是一种更长期的，是要能够使社会当中的绝大多数的人能够获益，并且能够怎么样呢？保持一个持续的、可持续的这样一个发展的，不要破坏环境啊，不要破坏更多的浪费的资源等等。就是说，他认为这可能对任何的国家呢都是适用的。好，刚才是这边的同学吧。
United Nations and many countries, including China, have taken a lot of efforts in the field of bioethics. And so I wonder, for individual persons, what we can do, I mean, ordinary people, to make some contribution to improving the situation of bioethics in our daily life. Thank you.
Well, the United Nations has made some papers on bioethics. Governments have made some papers on bioethics, but unless we bring these papers into life through people's lives and through love between people, and through practical action. It's only paper. And there's lots of paper in the governments, including governments in the country and governments in the United Nations. Yeah. So bioethics is we try to be practical. So, for example, students can create bioethics clubs to help discuss these issues. Because just to discuss these issues is already doing bioethics. It's thinking of new ideas. That's one. You create new ideas, you make recommendations, you write papers, you put on the internet, you share your ideas. Another, you make a bioethics club, you do some community action to help a community, to help some vulnerable group, help disadvantaged group, help marginalized group. Use your skills of educational knowledge to help people who don't understand, who are unable to survive in information society. Okay? Help the environment. Protect the environment. Educate people about what they should do. Think of simple ways to make a difference. Okay? So everyone makes a difference. There's a famous saying by Mahatma Gandhi. Gandhi is one of the most important people in the 20th century, yeah, the leader of Indian independence. Okay. And its saying is, be the change that you want in the world. Okay. Be the change that you want in the world. So if you want to change something in the world, then you do it. Okay? And it's very simple. If we all do it, we can change the world. Okay? And only if we all do it. Okay?
那么就是这位同学问到，那么作为我们这个个人啊，在这个生命伦理学的这个发展当中，能够起一些什么样的这个作用？那么刚才他的回答呢，就是现在呢，对 UNESCO 来说，就联合国教科文组织，然后还有一些包括他今天主要举的是 UNESCO 里面还有很多的一些不同的部门呢，包括其他的一些组织，就都是以叫 organization 这种。那么他们的一个主要的工作就是发布了很多的这样的一些宣言呐，一些这种就是报告啊，一些这些，那么他们放在网上，然后呢也有呢翻成不同的语言。那么这次他就给我们带过了很多一些已经翻成中文的一些宣言呀、报告，然后也发放给不同的这些政府啊。那么他们应该说主要做的还是在这个方面，但是这只是一个什么呢？就是说书面的。那么生命伦理学呢，更强调就它不同于过去的一些哲学呀、伦理学等等，它更强调一个什么呢？就是一个实践和一个应用。我要能够把这些理论的思考怎么样的去影响我们的这个社会的这个实践。就是所以呢，作为同学来说，他提一个建议，那么大家你可以组成 bioethics club， 就是说生命伦理学的这种俱乐部，就是你们个人的这样的一个组织可以在一起呢，就讨论这些问题。那么你可以把讨论的问题怎么样呢？可以呢，去交换一些新的这种想法，然后通过这些讨论呢，你们能够去比如说就是有一些这样的一些，比如说专题的讲座或者等等，还可以怎么样呢？你可以去帮助你的一个当地的社群的这些人，比如说那些弱势群体的人，还有一些那些被边缘化的这样的一些人等等，去帮助你社会当中的社群当中这些弱势群体的人，这也是可以。还有呢，你可以呢通过这样一些什么呢？环境的教育啊等等。把你通过生命伦理学的课程啊等等学到的这些 bioethics knowledge 能够怎么样呢？去发展成你的这样的一些什么呢？一些 skills 一些技巧，能够去宣传告诉其他的人要爱护环境啊，保护环境，这些其实都是呢每个人可以做的。那么他就最后举一个例子，就是印度的那个圣雄甘地。那么甘地就是一句神有名的话，就是说什么呢？如果你想改变这个世界，或者说你想改变什么，那你呢就要去做，要去实践，要去实行它，不能总是呢一个空谈。好，这个刚才是这个男同学，这个男同学晚上是女同学，好吧？
还有个问题就是，中国古代的孔子他说“未知生焉知死”，显然是这个对生命的一个革命主义。然后就是儒家中讲到六道人北的因果报应。然后西方的史牌对这个生命哲学还是讲就是
superficialism, we have a kind of mysterious account of life and death. If you do not know death, how do you know life? And also some, in Buddhism, it's kind of rebirth. Yeah, this kind of account. And also in Western philosophy of life, it's a different kind of account of life and death. So how do you think about it? And also some awesome to life.
So different religions have different understandings of our origin and our fate when we die. But for most of the religions, regarding ethics, it's very similar. Love your neighbor as you love yourself, do good. These are common goals. So although we have different views of heaven and hell, different views of life and death, different views of reincarnation, and different views of sin and how we're punished. When it comes to ethics, most of the ethics of religions are very similar. What's also interesting is when it comes to moral decision making, like should we help the painless death when people are dying or not? It is mixed in every religion. It is mixed. Some people of the same religion have different views. So regarding the bioethics, we have a greater diversity inside any one community of belief, than outside. So inside any group, we'll find a great diversity on moral dilemmas. And so it's very interesting. This is a result of sociological and anthropological studies I've done in many Asian countries and many other people as well. So it's an observation, it's a description that there is great moral diversity even in any one school of thinking about moral dilemmas. So for the bioethics field, I think we have to not only respect a different religion, we have to respect a different individual moral decision making. So it's a bit more challenging than just following these different worldviews. No, I think people have different worldviews, that's okay, that's fine. As long as a worldview doesn't make them go and do something very bad to others. The problem is when their worldview makes them want to kill others, then that is a dangerous worldview. But if somebody wants to eat animals and somebody doesn't want to eat animals, then that's just doesn't seem to be such a big problem. They can all live together happily, I think.
那么就是刚才提到，就是说这样一些不同的关于生死的这样的一些观念。那么实际上不同的宗教当中这样的一些观念是不同的。但是当我们谈到伦理学的时候呢，伦理学它是有这样一些基本的不同的文化都认同的这样的一些价值观，就像他前面在讲述当中讲到的，像这种不伤害啊、有利啊、尊重人啊、公正等等这些，它还是有一些基本的这样的一些共识的。那么再一个说到呢，Macer 教授提到他曾经呢做过很多的一些，就是他前面讲描述的伦理学，那就是一些什么呢？社会学的调查呀、人类学的这种调查的一些研究，就是呢对同一个文化族群当中的人们，他对同样的一个这个 ethical dilemma， 就是这个一种伦理的困境的态度的话呢，他发现呢，即便是在同一个这个族群当中呢，也有很大的一个这样的一个不同。所以说，当我们现在来谈到不同的宗教啊、不同的文化啊等等这样一些多元化这种情境之下的时候呢，那么我们更应该强调的不是说去尊重哪一种宗教的传统，或者说总是去宗教哪一种文化的传统，我们更加强调是尊重呢不同的文化、不同宗教之下的这些个人的他的一个自主的选择和自主的决定，他的这样一个道德的这个决定。所以说呢， 这个应该是更加的这个重要的。比如刚才提到的这个，就是说这个painless death， 就是说这种无痛就是安乐死。那么就是说更多的这种情况下，主动安乐死，我们更多的强调的是对这样一个什么呢？个人自主的，他的一个非常痛苦的，在这样一个死亡的过程当中，他的一个什么呢？个人的自主的这样的一个决定。那么包括其实就是说有很多这些观点的不同，其实也并不妨碍大家可以呢，可以就是生活在这样一个同样的一个社会当中。比如说有的人愿意食用动物，有的人不愿意食用动物等等。所以说大家注意这一点，就是更多强调是尊重不同文化之下个人的他的自主的决定和选择。好，这个女同学，然后这个男同学。
Yes, thank you, Professor Macer. Okay, I have two questions. Actually, the first one question is a humble suggestion. In ancient China, Confucius thought that, I should say in ancient China, the two most famous philosophers were actually backing you up. Confucius thought that rulers should rule by love. So this can be a very good proof of love human, of loving human. And if it's not enough, we can see what Nature's thought. But Nature's idea, the whole world is a whole. So besides loving, apart from loving people, we should love our environment. And ancient China is agriculture country. So if we don't love our environment, we cannot live. So my point is that I hope you can recommend more Chinese philosophers and Chinese scientists and researchers to work in UNESCO in order to have more voice from Asia, especially from China. And that's my suggestion. And second one is a question. I wonder how your principles work, and I want you to explain it with an example. And I have an example. I can hear your voice in explaining this example. I want you to explain a little about your ideas of cloning human animals. Yeah.
Cloning human embryos or humans?
是克隆胚胎还是克隆人？就克隆人是吧？reproductive cloning.
Reproductive cloning.
Yeah. So, do you think it's right or wrong? Or do you think there is any problem with it, or it's only right? If it is wrong, how can your principles work to attack it?
Okay, thank you. So, on the comment, thank you. So how we work is through partners and institutions. And so one of the reasons for me to visit here is to strengthen the partnership that we have here. So we have Chinese partners in our work because UNESCO is only a catalyst, only a way to try and facilitate many individuals and institutions to work for common goals of sharing ideas. And I would love that I would hear Chinese philosophers talk of Confucius or Mencius or Matsu or Lao Tzu or others with such a rich tradition, and all of them, I think, back up what I've said. And I quote them in my book, like Bioethics' Love of Life. You can find on the internet as many Chinese philosophers' quotations. So I certainly hope that Chinese scholars and partners will share more of the great wealth of information and philosophical sources and tradition, and apply that to issues of today, both in China and also globally. And I want to help bring Asian and Pacific or Arab or African philosophy into Europe so Europeans might understand, because they don't. usually. The second question is how would we apply ethical principles, which by coincidence I have put on the screen. I must have predicted your question. So that's good. To the question of cloning human beings. There are cases, there are a few cases where I think we would consider cloning of human beings if it was safe. But currently the most important principle of ethics to forbid attempts to try cloning is the principle of loving life. Do no harm. It warns us, to do technology assessment. If we try to use the current technologies of human cloning, on human beings, we would expect, even if we succeed, only maybe 1% success rate. We'd be killing many embryos, many fetuses, many newborn babies would also die before we had a successful child, and even that child is likely to die with a short life, and because we cannot predict. So the experiment itself would be unethical. So that's very simple. The principle of loving life or do no harm tells us not to try. So now let's take the second case. Let's imagine that we can do cloning safely. So technically it's safe, and we can make human beings as clones. I can copy you if I want you to work in UNESCO. Okay. So should I do that or not? Well, the point is, for parents who want to have a child and cannot have a child, a genetically related child, and in their culture it's really important to have a child, for example, some strict Islamic society, they have argued that cloning one child so they can have at least one child would keep their family together and would be good for the mother. Okay? So that she could stay married and not divorced and not a victim of being infertile. Okay, which carries a lot of social discrimination in some society. So in that case, perhaps we'd say cloning is not different to some other reproductive technology we use, if it's only one or two. But if you want to make I want to make 10 copies, or even I want to make a copy just because I want a copy of you, we could say it's against nature. We would say that could be against the life in the holistic sense, but I'm not sure. We could say it's against justice because it's a waste of resources, but again, I am not sure. So in fact, we would probably have to choose we'd probably have to say it would be okay if it was loving the person who was made. But we would, I think, usually argue that it's, if a person wants to be cloned, it's okay. But how do we know you want to be cloned? I mean, I know the donor may want to be cloned, but what about you, meaning the new you? The new you.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to be cloned, so maybe I can't clone you. However, probably most people want to be cloned. So actually cloning is a difficult dilemma if we ever make it safe enough to be done ethically from the safety point of view. But I think still we have a question, it's a justice question. It's better probably to spend our time and money to love many people who who need more love than making new ones. Yeah. Okay.
好，大家这个问题都听明白没有？没有。那我还是简单的翻译一下啊，就是刚才的第一个问题我们就不再重复了，就是说他就是前面做的很多工作都也有我引用了很多我们中国哲学家墨子啊什么这样的一些这些东西思想。那么后来的第二个问题就是关于克隆人。那么关于克隆人，大家就是说呢，它分两种情况来讲。那么现在呢，很多的对克隆人、生殖性克隆的反对的一个最主要的所去应用的伦理学的原则是呢，就是这个 loving all life， 就是说爱生命，或者说呢，就是说这个 do no harm， 就是说不伤害。因为呢，目前我们说做这个克隆技术的话呢，从这个多利羊这个以来的话，就是呢，它的成功率是非常低的。那么在你从不成功达到成功这样一个过程当中呢，我们可以预想到会有很多很多的胚胎被杀掉，会有很多很多的新生儿呢，由于这样的一个生物学的困难很难发育成一个正常的这样的一个人，包括就是说，那么就是在研究过程当中，一些刚刚新生的孩子可能就像多利一样，他会有这样一种早衰，会有一些身体系统的整个某一个在特定的时间的一个崩溃等等等等很多的这样一些问题，就是说这样一些生物学的困难，它不是那么简单的。那么这个过程当中，我们这个直接就涉及到很多的胚胎、新生儿等等，所以说呢，就是这样一个不伤害。那么假设如果说将来的某一天我们说克隆技术是一个安全的技术，那么这种情况下我们来去进行伦理考虑，应该怎么考虑？怎么样的考虑呢？如果说它是成功的，我们比如可以假设，比如说在一个这样的一个国家，那么他想克隆出这样一个孩子，比如说在伊斯兰的国家等等，他想克隆出这样一个男性的这个孩子，因为在这个社会当中是比较占据一个优势地位的。但是呢，我们这个时候就很难想象，就是说，因为这个时候用这个克隆技术呢，完全我们现在已有的很多的一些生殖技术呢，都可以做到这一步了。就是说，很多的体外受精、人工受精这些辅助生殖技术，我们已经有很多，你可以去得到一个无法通过正常的途径孕育的，你可以通过这些辅助生殖技术呢，可以去有这样一个和自己有遗传的关系的这个孩子。那么再一种情况就是说，你假设有个说可以想克隆10个你，比如说，那么这种情况下我们该怎么考虑呢？那么在这个情况下，可能更多的它会有一个在伦理学上一个违反的一个公正。那么就是说，为了克隆同一个这样的一个人，那么我们所去运用的资源，我们所去运用的时间等等这些呢，它是不公正的。或者说从这个爱这个原则来说的话，那么你怎么样去爱这样一个，就是说如此。就是说这个，他是说，当然这个方面还是有很多的会有一些这个争议，还在继续的这样的一个讨论当中。那么再一个问题就是呢，你怎么能确定？那么你愿意去克隆出一个你，但是你能确定出那个 new you 那个新的你，或者说就是那个被克隆出来的那个人，他愿意被克隆吗？这是有很多的一些什么呢？一些这样的一些伦理学的这个考虑的。好，这个同学。
In the Bible, in the Bible, Genesis, snake said to a first woman, evil, said, "You will be like God, knowing good and evil." And God cloned the first man, Adam, to the evil, and now people want to be God to clone human. What about you think about the sin in Christian allergy?
Sexual sin.
Yes, thank you. Do you want to translate to Chinese?
你把你的给大家说一下吧，你的问题。
在那个圣经里面，那个蛇引诱那个第一个女人说，你可以像那个上帝一样知道善恶。上帝就是从那个第一个男人的肋骨克隆出来的第一个女人。现在我们这个人又想像那个 您主要怎样看待这个基督教它的这个核心概念，这个罪这个概念？
So you know, for all the women here, the ladies, you always need to understand, you see, the first edition is man, and the more improved version, the new version is woman, the better one, yeah? So, the Mark II. But God did both these things. The concept of sin described in the picking of the fruit, of the knowledge of good and evil, I don't think is related to the creation of Eve. Rather, it is when we are arrogant and try to do too much, we will forget to do the assessment, to think about what it is good or what we should do. So the human, how much should we co-create with God? So new technology is, in a sense, a gift of our mind which God gave us. If you believe, as a Christian, I'm a Christian, but if you believe in this way. So new technology is we're co-creators with God. The point is, where do we decide it's no longer co-creation? Because I have read Christian writers who support cloning and Christian writers who are against cloning. I think the argument, more important argument is, at the moment it's dangerous against human life. One day, to help create a human being who will be loved in a family as a new child, however they are made, I think is beautiful. Okay? And I don't think the method of creation of human beings who will be loved is a problem. We have a greater problem if we design children like a supermarket article. Then that is a problem. But if we only clone because we want a baby, and we don't design the baby, I think that's not a sin, if it's safe. If it's safe, okay? But to design a child only as an item in the supermarket, like a catalog shopping on the internet, I choose this baby. This, I think, is what you say, sin. That's my personal opinion.
那么他说他只是呢说一下他个人的意见，因为他是一个基督徒。那么他认为呢，就是首先刚才这个同学讲，就是说那个夏娃，虽然讲的是从男人的肋骨制造出夏娃，按照这个圣经上所说，但是我们应该在座的女同学们想到，我们是一个什么更改善了的这样的一个 version。所以呢，下面的一个就是说而且他觉得这个他吃了那个苹果，就是说有了这种善恶的这种知识，他觉得和这样一个创世和这个什么呢，它因为关系不是特别的大的。那么说到这个克隆这个问题呢，那么他认为就是说，在这个整个我们这个新的生命科学技术这个发展呢，整个来说应该说呢，这都是我们的头脑人类的知识的进步，但是我们的头脑呢，作为一个基督徒，他相信是上帝给我们的一个礼物。那么我们现在用这样一个很多的新的这些生命科学技术呢，其实创造出了有很多什么呢？是一个和上帝的创世的一个什么呢 ？co-create 一个同步的这样的一个有很多的这样的一个技术。但是像克隆技术呢，他认为如果说我们是克隆技术是安全的，那么你呢仅仅是去克隆出一个孩子呢？要去爱他，比如说可能你失去了一个孩子，那么你很想再有这样的一个孩子，你去继续对他的爱等等。那么他认为这个呢，不应该就是违背或者说就是说这个完全基督教的这个教义，因为基督教也是强调这个家庭啊等等这样的一个以爱来这个维系等等。 所以说这应该不是一个原罪的这个概念。但是呢，问题就在于随着今后的技术的一个发展，如果说我们去设计一个孩子，去 design 设计一个孩子，随着今后很多的基因技术，我们甚至能像就在超市里购物一样，你在那个目录单上 catalog 上，你可以选择不同的性状，或者说你选择哪种类型的孩子，然后在那个 internet 上1点1等等，这样他认为这个的话呢，是会有一个什么呢？就是一个扮演上帝，包括就是说就是违背包含这样一个原罪的这样的一个概念。好好，这个。
But as we know, every species is selfish, and so human is no exception. So for man's own benefit, we have to kill animals, we have to kill plants, for food and for experiment. So if that means we can never reach the goal of the we can never reach the goal of bioethics, or is that means our bioethics just care about it?
Okay, thank you. I believe bioethics is pre-human. I believe animals and plants also follow bioethical principle. If you're a biologist, you can see this in the evolution of altruism, of communities versus selfishness. I think we have to do our best to balance these principles and live in harmony with nature. But in practice, what does that mean? For example, you study in a university that used to be forest or farmland. Okay? Should we have left it as nature, or should we build a university? Well, I guess we have to build a university as close to nature as we can. Should we eat animals? Well, I've been a vegetarian 3 times. I was asked this once 3 times, and currently I'm not a vegetarian. I don't know when I'll next be a vegetarian. Usually at different events, especially as a student first time, or as a university student, it's a good time to think. And then so on. I don't mind to change, to develop my ethics view. I'm still learning. But I think we have to find a balance, okay, between respect and love for all of creation and love of our life. And so to try to minimize our ecological footprint, to minimize the harm we do to others is good, but we still have to live our purpose as an organism. Okay, so find our purpose as an organism and to live in harmony with others. So that's why I follow love. I don't follow law. If I follow law, it'd be impossible to live legally as a bioethicist, I think, with other living organisms in the world. Okay, because it's a compromise, balance.
就是这个同学的问题问到了，就是说关于生命伦理学，那么就是说是爱人的生命，那么动物啊，或者说植物这些生命，那么我们应不应该爱，或者是一个什么样的关系？那么 Macer 教授的答案呢，就是他主要强调了，我们呢，一个呢是要看到我们人作为一个物种本身，我们也作为一个有机体本身呢，我们呢自身的这样的一个什么呢，存活也是非常的重要。但是就是说，在这样一个存活当中，如何与其他的物种和大自然呢，自然界保持一个和谐，所以说呢，这个是，而且他谈到自己的一个经验，他曾经呢做过3次，可能有3个阶段是素食主义者，但是现在呢，目前呢，他也不是素食主义者了，所以说他呢也这种伦理的观点 也呢是会在不断的这个变化的。但是他现在呢就是说在坚持，就是说我们要看到一个是呢我们尊重整个的这样一个生态的系统等等，但是呢在这样一个过程当中呢，我们还要保持一个平衡，就是说我们自身的这样一个物种的这个延续以及这个发展。好像刚才是这个同学，然后在这个同学后面的女同学，然后在这个同学。
And then maybe it's time to stop.
That you have been in Japan for many years, right? And日本語ができますか？
できます。はい。
In American movies, we always see that they always mistake Chinese for Japanese or mistake Japanese for Chinese. I just want to know what do you think about these two countries and other people?
I think. Firstly, I think all people in the world are much the same. But if I compare people in Japan and China and Korea, you're very similar. You're cousins, sisters and brothers to each other. So you should get along and live happily. You have some sad history. But for young people, you need to really, you're so similar, get along. And inside each country, everyone is individual. But if we want to use a grouping, I think everyone should be the same. But especially, East Asian people are similar, very similar. So I think much the same. People have the same pain, the same pleasure, same happiness, the same sadness.
这个问题比较简单，我们后面就加快，因为时间也，后面那个同学，好吧。
Radicalism is still existing in many countries, such as in some Middle Eastern countries. And you just say that we should respect the individual choice. But in such countries, in your country, an individual is in the control of the local law or rules. So if the rules and animals are very tough, so how do the individual choose what he or she wants to choose? So do you think it's very difficult to separate the bio-effects in such countries?
It is very difficult to give people choice if the government tries to stop it. But we try to change the social system and make the government understand that it can work much better if you give people a choice and hope and freedom. Yeah, so I think peacefully we have to try to make countries respect human dignity, and human dignity means human choice and freedom. Yeah, so I've been to Palestine a number of times. I've been to Gaza a number of times. I've organized bioethics meetings in Gaza with Hamas. Okay, I've organized bioethics meetings. So I still say the same thing, and they understand. But it takes time.
那么他就说是的，确实在比如说一些特定的政治条件之下，政府呢不太就是说允许人们的自由的选择，那么这个时候怎么去给个人以这样的选择是比较困难的。但是呢，很多的情况之下，可能就是说呢，你不要只看到这样的现实，而是说怎么样去改变它。他举例子，他就曾经到巴勒斯坦加沙，大家知道那是一个非常动荡的一个地区，去组织生命伦理学的这个会议，组织过好几次。那么，而且他是跟哈马斯这个组织，大家知道哈马斯是一个非常激进的伊斯兰的这样的一个组织，就说去告诉他们这样的一些 idea 什么等等这样的一个，就是说，你怎么去这样一个改变。那么刚才还有就是哪个同学？这个女同学。
I think to listen to each other is the best way for teamwork, and to give and take. And that's important for ethics. It's important for teamwork. To respect different views, even if you disagree with them. And as an international diplomat, I often disagree with people I work with, but I must respect them. But I also feel my responsibility to share with them politely why I disagree. If I think it's a very serious point, I will say so. But I still will not. I do not argue or tell them that they are wrong or something. We must work for understanding of each other. Understand my bias is my duty, the same as for other people to understand theirs.
好，这个问题大家应该都听明白了吧？
Okay.
好，这个同学。
In these days, gender discrimination is severe in job hunting, and to land a good job, workers must make great efforts to do study or other things. I think it is unfair. What's your opinion on it? I want to know.
When I was a professor in Japan for 15 years, and I had many female students who also had a problem. And they also had a problem. Some professors told them, you shouldn't study because you're a woman. And some older professors said that. And I was always very upset with such a comment. But jobs, it's very hard to get jobs. We must fight together to stop gender discrimination. It's wrong. Yeah? It's a discrimination. It's simply wrong. So, so try and fight it, or try and work for a company or a government department or somewhere which actively promotes a woman. I made a question this morning, maybe this afternoon you can ask me why outside the philosophy building there's 2 women. I thought it's to promote women's education, but I guess that's why and if you notice in my slide, my scientist's a woman. Okay? We have to overcome. There's a huge bias, and so we're trying to work for this. But I heard that actually in China, women are doing better on the entrance exams than men. Yeah? 70, much more. So, but the problem is after university. That's your problem, getting a job, as you say. So we have to try and overcome it. So when you're a boss, you must be fair to both man and woman. Okay? But I will try and encourage women to strengthen that.
好，由于时间的关系，我们马上到9点了。那么我们今天的讲座呢，就先到这里。因为呢 ，Macer 教授明天清早6点半就要到机场去乘飞机到香港，所以说呢，我们今天的时间呢，也不能拖得太长。大家有什么问题的话，可以呢在下面再做一个短暂的交流，好吧？I just give the time for